One of the things that was interesting about Vuori as we were doing the research was that they were just so incredibly capital efficient. So they were profitable since 2017. They had only raised about $2.5 million, up until that point. And the 400 million that they raised went to the early investors to basically provide a liquidity event. What sorts of lessons are there for founders?
Yeah, I mean, I think right off the bat, retaining equity as founders, right? I mean, because they were so capital efficient, they didn't have to dilute themselves. I mean, I estimate Joe probably still owns like, I don't know, 40-50% of Viore at this point, which is pretty incredible to think about because most founders, when they get to a unicorn valuation, are probably diluted down to like, you know, 10 to 20%, if that. So he's definitely retained a lot more equity. And I think, there's really two keys to capital efficiency. Number one, in terms of their organic customer acquisition, which really enabled and made them focus on creating a high quality product. Really focused on fabrics from the get go, which I think was the right move. And building strong relationships with customers and suppliers. Right. I mean, we mentioned Joe when they were at that pivotal moment in terms of running out of cash with a month left of cash on their balance sheet, calling customers and saying, "Hey, what did you love about Viore? How can we continue to make our product better?" And so I think having those strong customer relationships really goes hand in hand with their growth. And I think number two, not getting too far ahead of yourself from an investment standpoint when it comes to people. Right? They stayed pretty lean early on. Though they definitely scaled up their team during COVID and now continue to hire some amazing people. They stayed, pretty lean. And even if we look at their infrastructure, right, like they don't run their own warehouse, they utilize a 3PL, they use a lot of, third-party tools. A lot of people, when they get to scale, they think they need to build their own software and build their own warehouse and invest in all these, CapEx expenditures. When at the end of the day, your main focus as a company should be to build great products for your customers, and Vuori customers are not buying their warehouse, they're not buying their software, they're buying their athleisure clothing, right? And so I think it really, I think, is an important point to make because so many businesses, when they get to scale, they start investing in capex that oftentimes is not going to provide the return to their customers that they want to provide, so it's not going to grow their revenue.